Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully Ron Strobel's not watching because he'll be mad at me for being 2 minutes late. I am the acting Sergeant of Arms, or as our former president, Pat Shear, says, no arms, okay? That's his joke, by the way, so. Today, Kelly, is Kelly in here? There's Kelly way in the back. Would you bless us with the prayer? And welcome guests too. Welcome back, George Snyder. All rise.
Oh, thank you, sir. Oh, I'm a little tardy, huh? Good morning. Okay, we got to go slow because this is going to be a challenge. Here's to you and yours, and to mine and ours. And if mine and ours ever come across you and yours, I hope you and yours will do as much for mine and ours as mine and ours have done for you. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan. And fresh off a Cleveland Cavaliers win last Saturday night, James Field was there with his daughter. Rah, he's going to do our Pledge of Allegiance in our four-way test. I know.
Good morning, rotation. And we have the words up, so just in case. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. 1, is it the truth? 2, is it fair to all concerned? 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And I'll just throw a plug in since I have daughters who went to both Hudson and Reserve that what we're going to hear today really fits this four-way test.
Thank you, James. Okay, I guess Chris Barker is not here. Father Joe? So do you want to announce our guest today or? I'm sorry? Okay, Madeline Carino, am I saying that? Madeline Carino? We will be in touch with you about the new member packet. Since Chris is not here today and Mike Swain is, oh, you have it now. Okay. All right. So welcome to this is her third session as a guest and she wants to join. She is ready to go through the hazing. Mimi's the boss over there. So she's going to put her through the hazing part of the program. So with all that being said, Father Boisel, our current president, will take the meeting from here. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, you did. Yeah. I think he introduced me last week as Mike Jones or something like that. Good morning, Rotarians and guests. Do we have other guests who are among us? I see a number of guests here in the front row. Anybody else? Back in the back, thank you, guests who are here. Good to see you this morning. Our first announcement that I have is that we are taking up a collection this month for the, let me get it real fast in front of us. It's Safer Futures Portage County. This is a shelter for victims of domestic violence. And I think it's the only one in Portage County. So we're trying to collect for them, cleaning supplies, especially bottles, spray bottles, Lysol, things like that, probably paper towels, I imagine, all those sort of things that you might use to clean up an area with. So if you can bring those and drop them off, Terry will make sure that they get to where they're supposed to go. Also, I want to point out Tom back in the back. Tom Petropoulos is our AV runner. He's always kind of out of the. You can't see him. He's back there doing all the heavy lifting. And how about we give Tom a big round of applause? Yeah. Great job. We're excited to see our service learning classes here, and So today we have from both Hudson High School, we have Marty Bach, and from Western Reserve Academy, Wanda Boesch. Am I saying your name, Wanda, correctly? Okay. We're excited to hear from them. We have this long relationship with both schools, and we're thrilled for them. And so I think we'll start, ladies first. We'll bring up Wanda, and are you coming forward? Yes? Yes. Do you have students you want to bring with you, or you? Yes. You just want to come up all together then? Okay. Okay, good. All right. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a total rookie at this thing. That's okay.
Good morning, everyone. So my name is Wanda Boesch. I am the Director of Community Outreach at Western Reserve Academy. I'm also the leader for the WRA Service Leaders, also part of the Interact Club from this group, the Rotary Club of Hudson. And I'm also the science chair and teach physics. And I also work very closely with Gina, and I'm very, very happy to be here. And we are going to, well, not me, Maddie, is going to talk a little bit about what we did last year as part of some philanthropic events that we did for the Interact, the district-wide event that we did with the rest of the Interact clubs, but also all the service events that we did and philanthropic things that we did for other organizations. And then we're going to talk about one of the philanthropic events that we have taken as part of kind of like our mission for the future. And this became part of a very passionate service leader that we have at Reserve, who made a trip with her family to Tanzania this past summer. And she came and they worked at an orphanage for around 3 weeks. And she came back and she was extremely passionate, and she talked and raved about, the struggles that they were having and challenges, and showed us pictures, and we talked to the people that are involved in it. And so we decided as a group that we were going to be taking upon this group to raise money for them. And Maddie's going to talk a little bit about that. So without further ado, I have Maddie Aliff to introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Maddie Aliff, and I'm a senior at Western Reserve Academy and the president of the Service Leaders Club. Morning, everyone. Should I just start? Okay, next. So some of our events from last year include a lot of fundraisers and drives. One in particular was the Akron Children's Hospital fundraiser we did, which is through an Interact project, and a Penny Wars fundraiser we did for the Akron Food Bank, in which we raised $500. We also did fundraisers for childhood cancer research and the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. We also did a fundraiser that's very near and dear to Reserve's campus heart, which is a 5K color run to raise money for the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota. In which we raised over $1,000. And I got to see in person this summer what our money goes to, because I did a service trip through the school out in South Dakota. And so that was really cool to be a part of. As you can see on the screen, we have different pictures from the color run and some drives. We also did an event through the whole school where all of our students and faculty made cards and a sign to welcome refugees to the state of Ohio. Next. We've also cultured and continue to culture service relationships with a number of different local organizations, including the Akron Food Bank, Legacies of Success, Salvation Army, Joseph House of Cleveland, Charity, and many more, as you can see listed on the screen. Our service events include participation from teams, dorm groups, grade trips, as well as individual opportunities that kids can sign up for, like on the weekends and during the weekday whenever they have any kind of free time. So next. And then moving forward, the club will be, as Ms. Bosch talked about, raising money for the Children's Concern Foundation in Tanzania. One of our club's members, Paige Dix, spent time there this summer with her family. So CCF's mission is to take orphans off the street in Tanzania and provide schooling and shelter for them. Their mission right now, service-wise, is to complete the construction of their school buildings, and they need around $30,000 to complete the build. And so far we have raised and sent $1,000 to them to help them reach their goal. We are going to have like a long-term partnership in which we will continue to do different kinds of fundraisers to support their mission.
One of the things that I wanted to mention is, I know this is a pretty like brief presentation. I wasn't sure how long we were gonna have, but I want to let you know a little bit about how our service events go. Since we are a boarding school, our service events really, we just are able to do them during the weekends or after school when we are able to do them, just because of our athletic requirements and everything. So we have basically every weekend we have one. In regards to the Interact Club, there is always a district project that is decided upon in November that is done by all the Interact district clubs in the district. And so one project is decided upon in November. And so last year it was to have donation items like toiletries for families for the Akron Children's Hospital. And so you could either gather for a drive or you could donate money. And because we are a boarding school, for us, it's easier to do fundraisers just because we have boarders. We don't have people going back and forth from their houses. And so it's just easier for us as a school to do a lot of fundraisers instead of drives. This last project, like I said, it's just very passionate for us. We are actually going to be Zooming with all the kids that are part of the orphanage. So we get to know the kids really just like one-to-one. And we, like, if you see on the bottom part, well, the corners, this is part of like their startup building for the school. And so we are helping them build their own school just because they are in need of like an actual school building. They're doing it in like one schoolroom for different ages. And his name is Andrew and his wife are really starting this program, and they just take these orphans out of the streets and then they feed them, they clothe them, and then they school them as well. And so Paige is right here. She's our student that went this past summer. And we just, she was just extremely passionate. She came back and she's like, and we did this and we did this and they're doing that. And then the whole group is like, you know what? Let's do this. Let's just take this as part of our mission just to, and we're going to do it every year. It's not that we're just going to do it this year and stop. We're going to kind of take it upon ourselves to like help them out to build a school. So, we just gave you a little relapse of our service events and all the organizations that we work, that the kids do service, and the philanthropic events that we've done. The refugee families that we did last year, I know Hudson High School did. They raised a lot for the van, but we raised money for the van, and then we raised money for the laundry baskets and pillows and welcome, kind of like laundry baskets and pillows and toiletries and things like that for families. And we took them to the International Institute of Akron, but it was all through fundraiser. And then, we just bought all the supplies. So we wanted to thank you for everything and for the support. And Gina and I are going to talk a little bit about that after the students from Hudson High School. Thank you so much. I don't know if anyone has any questions about it, anything. Some of what?
So as I said, I'm a senior, and right now I'm waiting to hear back from a lot of other colleges. My top two choices right now that I've gotten into are Tulane and Purdue University. I plan to study biomedical engineering in college, which will be definitely a challenge, but I'm very excited. So yeah, that's basically everything. Still waiting to figure out the logistics. The college process is a very long one, so we'll see where I end up. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, this service learning, I didn't mention Jamie and Gina also here with us today. Kelly, will you come real fast whilst they're in this little, there was one announcement I forgot to make mention of, and Kelly's going to tell us about it real quick.
I won't belabor this. Last week during the board meeting, I had suggested Terry every month does a fantastic job of picking a nonprofit that we donate monies to or products. And, Father Joe was talking about the papers and cleaning stuff. My ask was, could I just write a check to the club every month for whatever the particular sponsor is? But that puts a little bit of burden on Ben because he's got to keep track of this. Does anyone else in the club kind of desire to do that or not? I mean, because one is probably not worth it. So 6 or 7. Yeah. So if you guys, whether it's today or next Wednesday, kind of find me, and then we'll kind of coordinate and we'll work with Ben and see if we can't make that easier for us to do. That's it.
All right.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Sorry, guys, for the hold up here. Fantastic to see you all. Come on up. Yes. I'll hand this over to you.
All right. All right. Good morning, Rotarians. Absolutely lovely to see you. I can see, there's still a lot of love and romance in the air from Valentine's Day yesterday. Hope everything went wonderfully for you. Right, got plenty of chocolates and everything else in between. So first off, what we're going to do before our presentation that the teachers going to run is we're going to introduce, as we usually do, our 2 students we brought this month to share with you. So I have the pleasure of introducing Maddie Clark. So Maddie's going to tell you about her experience in service learning this year. So I'll turn it over to Maddie.
Good morning. As Mr. Bach said, I'm Maddie Clark. I'm a senior at Hudson High School, and I'm a part of the service learning program. Last semester, I was able to serve at Kent Social Services, which is a food pantry in Kent. And we served impoverished people who didn't have access to food. And one of the things that I learned through serving at Kent Social Services was the people there, they really appreciate you coming and getting to know them as a person instead of just what their needs are. They're really happy people who just have bad days, but just want to be seen as human and not what their needs are and how impoverished they are. This semester, I am currently serving at the Boys and Girls Club down in Akron, which is for impoverished kids in the inner city. And it's an after-school daycare for the kids to go to when their parents are still at work. And the kids there are absolutely amazing and so loving and caring. And I've been able so far to see their journey of sitting down once a day, once a week, and just talking about how they feel and their highs and lows in their daily life. And to me, that is so impactful because for them at such a young age where they're maybe 9 or 10 years old, just sharing how excited they are about something or not excited or upset about something really shows me that everyone can do the same and really go on about their life and reflect on how they're feeling. And for the future, I'm still waiting to hear back for a few colleges. I'm hopefully going to study biochemistry, pre-med, and then minor in arts.
And one of the things that I would like to brag about Maddie about is she had a huge hand in helping to reorganize the entire back room and the organizational structure of Kent Social Services, which I believe, yes, the food department brought attention to and could not say more about the organization that she helped to spearhead. So I know she won't say that, so I will. I have the pleasure of introducing Katya Ecliff, who is another one of our absolutely phenomenal students this year. So she's going to tell you about what she's been doing for the last couple of semesters, and then what she's going to be doing after that.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you guys for having me. My name's Katya Ecliff, and I am obviously a member of the Service Learning Program at Hudson High School. I'm also a senior. Last semester, I had the opportunity to volunteer at Harris Jackson Community Learning Center, which is an elementary school in North Hill, Akron, which is the most diverse neighborhood in Ohio. So at the school, I was in a 3rd grade class, and from the very beginning, I was able to click with the teachers and the students there very well. For me personally, at Hudson High School, it's definitely been a little harder to present my true self, as I am a firstborn American and part of the Muslim community here. Although very small, there is one, but it's hard for me to show that part of myself. When I was at Harris Jackson, I was able to push the students to embrace who they truly are and their family and what communities they come from, which led me to be able to try and do the same thing here, like talking to you guys about it because it's a little difficult. So I'm trying my best on that aspect. I built great relationships there and just recently revisited yesterday, and it was a great opportunity. They all came running back to me, so it's definitely awesome. This semester, I'm at Community Connections, which is also in Akron. Community Connections is an organization that helps adults with disabilities. It was definitely a harder transition for me because I had to find the balance of, you know, respecting them as individuals and also helping them and trying my best, because there is that like cognitive barrier. It was also hard for me because I like to keep busy and, you know, do some busy work, and my goals there are building relationships with the people, and it's definitely difficult with the more nonverbal community side, but I am definitely building relationships there, definitely learning about this new community that not many people know of, and not many people know that there are many organizations that help people like this, whether it be young kids with disabilities or adults. And these people come in to Community Connections from 9 to 3 every day. And some of these people is like, this is their highlights. This is the only place where they can build relationships with others. So it's definitely been a great opportunity for me. And definitely, like, it opened my eyes. In Hudson, it's hard, as everyone says, Hudson bubble. It's definitely hard to learn about these different communities, these different people. And I think that service learning does a great job in letting other people experience that. So it'll be great for me in the future. And currently, I'm still undecided about where I want to go. I believe I'll be going either in Boston or Canada. I have Canadian citizenship, so it's not just random. But I am planning to study political science and journalism on a pre-law track. So thank you guys.
Good morning, Rotarians. How are you today? So you just heard from, as you can tell, two of our best students. We have a really high quality class, but these are two of our standouts. And Katya won't actually share this with you, although I forced her to share it with Mr. Tobin this morning. But she actually made her teacher cry for a good reason. So I don't know if you remember, but the Akron teachers had their potentially the strike that was luckily avoided right at the end. But Katya, she saw the stress her teacher was going through. And then when we were on our winter break, they actually still had school for a couple more days. So she went in, had the kids videotape the kids, or recorded the kids saying what was great about their teacher, showing gratitude, then put it together in a video and gave it to her teacher as her going away present, which is just absolutely amazing. So as you saw, two of our best. We are going to transition at this point into our actual presentation, and it's going to be a little bit of a wrap up of what we've done this year, as well as kind of where we're heading as well. And just so you are aware, next year's service learning class, we've been interviewing, they will find out next Friday, not this week, but next week, the 24th, we'll know who's in service learning for next year's class. So things keep rolling, which is good. I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Bach. He's going to begin our presentation for us.
All right. Thanks again for having us this morning, and you're going to hear from all four of us. I sometimes call us the four-headed monster. All right, so it takes an entire team to run service learning. So we're going to divide this up so you get to hear from everyone. So again, I'm Marty, and I'm going to start off by covering some things that last year's class completed essentially in the spring, since we updated you last year. So next. Basically what I'm going to cover is our 2022 spring trip. So in May of last year for 3 days, we were able to take the class of 2022 on a trip. We had traditionally been going down to Southern Ohio, but instead we've pivoted to forging this relationship with North Hill in Akron. As Katia said, the most diverse neighborhood in Ohio, and it's 20 minutes down the road. And what better to have a relationship right next door with an area that's close, but very high need and very different than our own. Next. So as part of our trip, one of the things that we did is we took the students on a tour of Ohio Amish country. So Ohio has the highest population of Amish in the entire world. Pennsylvania gets a lot of credit with the Pennsylvania Dutch, but actually Ohio has more Amish than Pennsylvania does. And so they're our neighbors an hour to the south. So we took our students down there, and they had, as many of them said, the best meal of their lives, prepared by Amish women in an Amish house. They got to see a working farm. Here was the local minister, and he explained how he got to be chosen as minister and how they do it, and showing them their draft horses, and actually had a veterinarian show up to give this draft horse a vaccination. We saw people working with candles and how they do that, a woman quilting, got to interact with some children. So it really, a lot of them are very curious about the Amish community, but never had a chance to actually go talk and be with them and ask questions, and it was a wonderful experience for them. Next. For service, we also worked with the Richfield Heritage Preserve. It's about 25 minutes to the west of here. Richfield has a wonderful heritage park that they need volunteers to keep up. So our students were there, and they were asked to scrape and paint picnic benches for Richfield. So that's pictures of them completing that. Next. Then down in North Hill, they have Akron Cooperative Farms. Doug Wirtz has put this together. It's right off of Ohio 8 across from Akron North High School that you can see it from the highway. Basically, it's an old baseball fields from Akron that Doug Wirtz claimed when First Energy built the new baseball fields, and instead has turned this into a urban farm where a lot of the immigrant refugee population in the neighborhood can go take a plot, and they can grow their own produce or use it to sell at a farmer's market in the summer. So our students were helping there again with a bench, and also putting up their greenhouse for the coming growing season. Next. Also, obviously, we take a lot of students on a trip. We have a lot of mouths to feed every day. And what we realized would be better than, not to put down chain restaurants, but going to Chipotle or something like that, is instead, why don't we incorporate cuisines or restaurants that have a mission or are startups or small businesses instead, and then again, send them the business. So we did cater some North Hill restaurants, Nepali Kitchen, Leah Thai from recent immigrants, but also we had a presentation from Joe DeLoss, who is the CEO of Hot Chicken Takeover. They're based over in Strongsville. It's Nashville Hot Chicken. But what he has is he has the mission similar to Edwin's in Shaker Square. He employs everyone who's ex-convict. So he went through with the students. He came with the food, but also then did an hour presentation on where I started this business, entrepreneurship, but how I also wanted a mission in my business, and I wanted to give people a second chance, and talked about how, for example, things like most businesses might create a 401k for their employees. He said, my employees, that's not in their life. Instead, we created benefits like how to find them affordable housing, to get them into housing, how to get them an affordable car, because a lot of them don't have transportation. So those benefits are things my employees needed as opposed to a 401k. So it was wonderful for the students to hear from them. It was very generous. He drove up in Columbus to talk to us. Next. Then, again, we worked with North Hill, and these are three of our partners we've been working with in North Hill. That's Za, Samantha, and Nima. And they are from Myanmar, Burma, Congo, and Nepal, respectively. And they put on we worked with our students, but also put on a play for them about their refugee experience and coming to America, what America means for them. So that's going on in the Exchange House in North Hill. We can see our students there watching the presentation. Next. Finally, to finish up, the class of 2022, that is their overall service totals from last year. So again, it was wonderful coming out of the pandemic. We did a fantastic job during the pandemic, continuing service, but for those totals going back to where they were, it's wonderful to see. So I'm now going to turn it over to Brittany, right? Because I've spoken enough.
Hello again. So I'm going to be talking about the class of 2023. So if you could please go to the next slide. So this is actually our 25th anniversary class of service learning. So we are hitting kind of a really important milestone this year. And thankfully, if you could please go to the next slide, our students have risen to that task. We've had some really amazing experiences. You heard from two of our students earlier, but our kids have had some really amazing experiences at their service sites. And we've been hearing rave reviews from our kids. We've got Frank Mulvaney up here on the left side. He built some amazing connections with his students. We've got Alex Palmer, who might be one of the best students we've had working with Mrs. Quinn in the high school. And I do want to shout out to Alex, because this is a site that's in the high school. And so it can be really easy to just kind of like glide. Because he's in the same place. He's not moving. He's not going to a different site. And he built amazing connections with those kids. He tried really hard to meet them where they were, to raise them up. And that's impressive. And we have Katya on the right-hand side as well. So we are very pleased with where our kids are at in their service sites. And we're hoping that these last couple of months that they continue to do the same. Next slide, please. There you go. We also tried something a little bit different this year. So one of the things that we keep hearing about is that our students are very stressed. There's a lot of mental health concerns. And one of the questions, or one of the answers, I guess, to helping students deal with that, not solving it, but helping students deal with that, is to give them some independence and to encourage that independence through the school as well. And so Marty and I started doing these Let Grow projects, which basically ask the students to go do something that they had never done before. Don't ask your parents, don't ask for help, figure out something that you want to do, plan how to do it, and go. We had there was a lot of cooking, which was awesome. We had a lot of cooking examples, but we also had students who went and ate on their own. They set a goal for themselves to not get their phones out, to maybe take a book with them, to talk with the people who work there, like their server or whoever is essentially like taking their order. And we heard some really cool things. If you could please go to the next slide. We have some more pictures. We had kids who were going out with their friends. There's the camping experience down there in the bottom corner. They set up a tent. They camped outside. They were like, it was in our backyard, but it was also kind of scary because our parents weren't home, and we had to set up a tent, make sure it didn't fall down and all this stuff. They started their own fire. So it's these experiences that we're hoping continue fostering that independence and helping them know, like helping our students know that you can do this. Like there's a lot of stuff that you definitely can do and you maybe don't know it. I'm a huge fan of the middle picture because we've got siblings involved as well. That's Mia. Her sister was practicing while she was cooking. So. And this was something that actually did get national attention. Marty was interviewed for this. So if you could please go to the next slide. There was an article that was written about young adults struggling with their mental health and asking the question, how does independence affect that? And they interviewed also one of our students, Megan Miller, if you could please go to the next slide, who took her siblings to Cedar Point for an evening. So she got her kids, or she got, sorry, she got her siblings in the car, and they drove up to Cedar Point. And she talked about, you can see it in the article, but she talked about how nerve-wracking that is. But they had a lot of fun, and it became this really cool, sibling bonding experience that was a project for class. And so we have we're hoping to kind of continue doing that into next year's class, and integrating it into what we do for the class as is, or as we have it now. So I'm going to turn it over to Gina to talk about Camp Ledgewood. So if you could please go to the next slide.
I thought about doing that. Well, remind me that I have to move on. So every year we go to Camp Ledgewood, and we do an overnight, which is it actually originated from a student suggestion. After the trip in the spring, they felt like they bonded so well that they wished that they had had that opportunity early in the class. So many years ago, they integrated this into the program. And when we have a testing day in October and the seniors have a reading day, we go to Ledgewood and we do service all day long on that Wednesday. And often we have Rotary members who come and help and observe. So we want to thank you guys for your support and financial support for some of the projects that we do at Ledgewood while we're there, as well as your emotional support coming out and helping us. So this year actually was a pretty, if you could advance, please, was a really fun year because Marty changed what we did at the beginning, and he did a physical and mental Olympiad for the students, and so divided them into teams so they would try and get to know each other and not kind of self-select groups, and they actually loved it. It was a lot of fun. And then of course we always do a campfire, and Marty tells a local ghost story to scare and have the kids enjoy their experience there. We build a fire, and then we go to sleep, or attempt to. This year I stayed in an old cabin that was rehabbed, and the kids thought it was abandoned and started banging on the door in the middle of the night, and I started screaming. Put a table. I don't know why. I was roused from a deep sleep, and then I put a table up against the door and started screaming, "Whoever you are, go away." Not really putting two and two together that it was probably students and I shouldn't be afraid. They also did not put two and two together and thinking that I was in there. And they thought it was haunted and got completely freaked out. And then eventually went back and played like Gaga Ball or something all night long. If you could advance, please. So overall, we spread gravel, and we split logs, and we painted. We did a lot of painting for some of the older cabins that need a little TLC. And even though the one large cabin we didn't complete, they told us that we did a lot of the like really hard work, and then someone would be able to go back and do some of the touch-ups. So we were pleased and proud that we were able to help out Camp Ledgewood, who's been a great partner for us, particularly in the last few years. Both the Boy Scout camp and Camp Ledgewood have been amazing in allowing us to use their facilities when our Southern Ohio trip has had to be canceled. So thank you to both organizations, because we couldn't have had a trip, quite honestly, without the Boy Scout camp and without Camp Ledgewood. If you could advance, please. The other thing that I'm here to talk about are the class speakers that we have. And we start in the fall and try and introduce the students to a variety of different aspects of service. So we, in the past year, have had, you'll see Mr. Addis, who is the current superintendent of Hudson City Schools, and came to talk about the meaning of service in his life. We had Giovanni, who used to be one of our Head Start teachers and is now an advocate for the trans community. and was also a veteran. We've had Marcia Curry, our former librarian, come and talk about her husband's experience battling MS and what it's like to be a caretaker. We've had Mr. Tobin come and talk about philanthropy and how to make that a part of your life. I think the highlight, Marty gave him his own slide, but the highlight was Joe DeLoss when he talked about actually, like to add on to what Marty said in a connection with Rotary, how while he started service from when he was young, he thought the best way he could impact a community was actually creating a business that did a lot of the things that service does through a business model versus a volunteer model. So we are so thankful for all of your support. We are thankful for every speaker who came in, and I'm going to turn it over to Jamie because my alarm's going off. So he can talk about the next leg of this.
And they definitely didn't save the best for last, but they knew that I would be the fastest and they knew that they would talk too long. So I'm here to kind of punch through on this. So we start off with the policy projects. Marty and Brittany do that with their contemporary issues classes. This idea of identifying a problem and what they can do to solve it. And they do the research and they go through and learn more about it. They interview people and just find out different possible solutions. And we can't thank you enough, the Rotarians who were able to come in and be part of that. It's so helpful to have community members, and you're going to see that as a running theme. Next slide, please. With the random acts of kindness presentations, those projects that they did, and you see we've got several Rotarians there as well as one of the groups. And this is just an outstanding collaboration, I think, and I can't say how happy we are that we're able to actually do it again this year. And we were able to actually invite you back into the classroom and be there for this. I know it's very uncomfortable for the students. I know that they're not necessarily happy about it, but at the same time, I think that when they're finished, there's a real sense of accomplishment, and that they did go through the entire steps. They did go through an audience. And I think sometimes that smaller audience is even more intimidating, especially when they don't know who the people are going to be and they don't know those people. For some people, that is actually even more nerve-wracking. But we appreciate your feedback. It's real world feedback. It's feedback that comes with a lifetime of knowledge, and you're just great at conveying it to them. So we do really, really appreciate that and look forward to continuing that partnership. Next slide, please. We also, the Boys and Girls Club, so not only did we start them as a site, and you see Jake in the picture on the left, he was there last semester, and then of course, Maddie's there now. They actually reached out to us and said that they did not think they were going to have enough presents for each kid to get a present over Christmas. So they reached out to us and kind of gave us a wish list, and we set a goal of, I forget how many, but we set a goal of each class bringing in X amount. And not only did they get to that level, they like crazily exceeded it. So much to the extent of they actually filled a Subaru Outback, which I am told has the exact same storage capacity as a Subaru Forester. Yeah, Marty actually knows that off the top of his head. So as we were loading that was part of his trivia for us. And that's a partnership or a collaboration with Mary Fry, who some of you met. She came in for some of those random acts of kindness presentations as well, and a longtime Hudson community member as well as teacher. And she had kids who came through service learning as well. So we were really happy to be able to provide that to them as well. Next slide, please. And then our spring trip. Marty primarily did a ton of research and looked into what the getting back to our traditional ASP, our Southern Ohio trip would be. And quite frankly, the cost is extremely prohibitive. Just to put it in perspective without going into too much detail, the current trip where we're basically staying here and doing what we did last year, we're able to do that Amish experience and stay at Camp Ledgewood, costs the same as the trip did the previous time we did the ASP trip. That's how much inflation, that's how much expenses have gone up. And so we can't justify the trip as it stands with what it would cost. So we are switching it to that spring trip of being at Camp Ledgewood, working and continuing that partnership with the North Hill neighborhood, which we do think is fantastic. I don't feel like this is like trip one and then trip this is like level D. This is kind of trip 1A and kind of trip 1B, I think. And the opportunity to really give back to a neighborhood that is so close to us that we built this relationship with is, I think, an awesome opportunity for us. We're also able to use the money that we've received from the Maltz Museum. We originally received that $5,000 grant that we were able to use last year. This year we have a $1,500 grant that we were able to put into the neighborhood, and we're gonna that will be a central part of our trip this spring. And I believe we're turning it over to Gina and Wanda at this point to tell you a little bit more about that cultural fair.
Oh, Marty put one on too. All right, well, this is good. Yeah. So Wanda and I had the opportunity to meet through a community group called the DEI Alliance a few years ago, and I can't tell you how much I love this woman. She is amazing. And so we also got the opportunity to connect last year when we were helping Afghan refugees, both her service program and our service program, and we collected materials, as she mentioned, in her service project overview for the International Institute of Akron. And that for us caused a ripple effect, and we became involved in the van. She became involved in the van. You all became involved in the van, which ended up being a great project. And so the idea has been, why not continue this kind of community grassroots embracing idea of embracing diversity and culture here in Hudson, and highlighting the different individuals, different cultures that we have both here and just down the road in Akron.
So I think it's gonna be kind of nice because Jamie, right? Jamie, so he talked about the North Hill group, and I think it's a really kind of like, it's really nice to like end this way, because we do want to highlight all the communities that we have that a lot of people in Hudson are not aware of, that we have around Hudson, the Hudson area, Akron, North Hill, it's just amazing. And we're not aware of, a lot of people in Hudson are not aware of, like, there's the Nepali kitchen there. I mean, there's so many communities and so much richness in culture. And so we were actually thinking it would be great to bring all these different richness and cultures into the Hudson community and make it kind of like a cultural like fair. So we, together with the marketing department at Reserve, because I'm not a very creative person, and well, Gina said she is, and I'm pretty sure she is. So we came up with, they came up with, I don't know, can you show the last slide from the Western Reserve? They actually came up with a logo for it, that it's called Bridge the World, to make it it's kind of like a culture fair, and it's basically between the service learning with Hudson High School, and it's a collaboration, and then the Hudson Community Foundation and all the organizations that are able to help. And so we wanted to like show and talk a little bit about it, because we would really love your support. And the whole program would be held May 6th from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. And it would be bringing in food trucks and food tents, and not only food from like small local businesses that are international. And not only that, but also have activities like henna tattoos and activities and dancing and singing, and from different parts and international. And so we were just thinking it would be something that would bring the community together and raise awareness also of all these different like richness of cultures that we have around the area. And so we wanted to make you aware of something that we've been working. Gina and I met over December, Christmas break, to talk. I mean, we brainstormed, we sat down at Hardwood Cafe, and we're like, okay, what do you think it would be best? And when we came up all what, and to be honest, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make the kids work. And so the service learning from Hudson High School, and then the service leaders from Reserve, they brainstorm different things that vendors and activities that they could do and who they could reach out to. And then we are meeting together, both groups, next Wednesday in the morning, so they could meet each other and then work collaboratively to like reach out to vendors and organizations and, look at activities that we could do on that May 6th. And I know there's a lot of activity that May 6th because there's a lacrosse tournament in Hudson. There's another lacrosse tournament at Reserve. So it's going to be a very busy weekend, but I think it'll be kind of nice because there's going to be a lot of people around and this is going to be at the green. So it's just going to bring a lot of awareness overall. So Gina, do you have?
I just wanted to say, lastly, the person that has been probably single-handedly most instrumental in helping make this happen is Amy Jordan
Yes.
at the Hudson Community Foundation, who helped us develop a budget. And she has served as a liaison between, our vision and the city of Hudson to try and cut through some of the red tape so that it's not cost prohibitive. And it gives us an opportunity to have a lot of community groups and students and, people from outside of Hudson, and also helping return some of that energy to the local businesses in Hudson that day. So people will come to the fair and hopefully they'll go grab dinner at one of our local restaurants. So I want to thank her, and she was going to be here and at the last minute. Yeah, I wasn't able to make it. So any participation, any leads, any suggestions, any support that you are willing to give, like you did last year with the van, we would greatly appreciate. And thank you so much for allowing us to speak today.
Yes.
And yes, and we have Service Learning has thank you cards for the RAK. So we really appreciated your support, and we'll be giving you those before we leave. So thanks a lot.
Thank you. Oh, sure. Yes. Any questions?
James, real quick question. I know my daughter was in this program and she knew Marty real well and Jamie and all the rest of you. And it was such a great, I'm speaking for Hudson, unfortunately. We just
Yeah.
go to
yeah,
Western
of course.
Reserve. And it was such a great program for her. My question to you is, do you still have more people than you can actually bring into the program each year? Because I know that you used to have to make some cuts. And thank you, Western Reserve, today for coming this morning.
Yes, we are unfortunately in the process of making those decisions right now. So we met with the other elective senior course at Hudson is New Dimensions. And currently we allow kids to apply to both programs. And then after they apply to both programs, they get to select by envelope which one they would prefer if they are able to get into both programs. And so sometimes we have kids that get into both programs. Sometimes we have kids that get into one program. And sometimes we have kids that unfortunately are not a match for either program. So yes, we are currently in the process of making those decisions, those very, very hard decisions right now.
And what is about 90 students or so you are?
We can take up to 90 if we have enough sites.
Okay.
So,
Which,
yeah.
relative to a senior class of approximately 380 to 400 is a good percentage of the senior.
It is a large number of students. Yeah.
Hey, I just wanted to say how thrilled I am that Reserve and Hudson are working together on something like this. I think you probably have to some extent in the past, and I'm sure COVID kind of screwed that up to some extent, but I just really am thrilled to see it. I'm sure most of our fellow Rotarians are as well, and we really would like to encourage to see more of that happening. So good on you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, actually, Marty and Lonnie met with Wanda before I came on board, just to give you guys a sense of when this started. And then you're right, actually, it was COVID that kind of knocked everything into a tailspin. And so we were fortunate to connect last year.
Yes, thank you.
Just have a comment, and addressing this really to the kids. What you've learned in both groups of service to others is made an indelible mark on you. And I encourage you as you go on into college that you don't stop, you keep it up. Because what you've learned here today is going to help you. And I can tell you, I'll be 90 in another few months. The things I've learned in service to others that I picked up in high school and college, I'm still using today. And what it does is it puts an indelible mark on your DNA that just makes you really feel good. So keep it up. Don't stop just because you're graduating. Keep it up. You've got wonderful opportunities to do it, find ways to do it, and really enjoy it. Thanks again for all you do.
Thank you. Thank all of our teachers and can I will you help me for just a second? I need somebody to pull a number. Yes. Yes. Okay. So so our Rotabuck raffle is $8 today. All right. And the jackpot is only $108. So because it was win. Okay, you give us the number.
Oh, okay. All right, check your tickets. So I have really bad eyes. I need my readers, you guys. I'm sorry. I think it's 681390. Is that right? Can you check that?
She's right. 390. All right, Maryland. I'll give you your $8 first. Okay. There we go. All right. And then you see there is a black one in there. There sure is. All right. So you just go, you gotta reach into
I have to reach inside, right?
Oh, all right. Well,
No.
alas. I would just say by way of closing that I was one of the judges for the Random Acts of Kindness. And Jamie mentioned, that small audience when you have, just a few people in there who are judging your work, it really is very intense. Imagine one of them being a priest. How awesome is that, right? Like, so there was that. It was fantastic. Really enjoyed that. And just to sort of dovetail into what both Phil was saying and the presentation this morning, I'm an Anglican, which is from the Church of England. So wherever the English Empire went, there were Anglicans. So we're all over the world, in India, in Africa, so on. A number of people in my parish are Kenyan. So expat Kenyans who live in the Stowe area and who attend my church. And so they're fantastic people, and I've really gotten to know them. And one of the women, her name's Irene, she says to me, I couldn't make it at Christmas time and I wanted to give to the Christmas offering, is it's too late? And I said, no, of course you can still give to it. I said, or if you know somebody who needs something, give it to them, make it direct. And she said, oh, I have a great idea. And so she comes back to me a couple weeks later and she says, I donated the money that I was going to give the Christmas offering to my father's church in Kenya so they could buy chairs to sit under the tree where they meet. The parish meets under a tree in Kenya. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. I'm glad. Good. Great job. Well done. Money's well spent. And I said to her, well, what do you think it would take to build a building? And she says, I don't know. And she goes and looks and a contractor who her father knows sends me a proposal. And I'm looking at it and I'm panicking because there are a lot of numbers. And at the bottom line, it was 11 million something. And then it occurred to me, this is in shillings. This is in Kenyan shillings. And I looked, and in US dollars, it's $88,000. We could do $88,000, 11 million we couldn't do, but 88,000 is a possibility. And just to think about the things that we can do to impact people's lives in the world and be part of it. You guys are doing great. You're off to a fantastic start. As Mr. Tobin said, keep it going. All right, everybody have a great day. Makes a difference in somebody's life, all right?
Hands